Good morning, younger old here, and this is first full day of the holiday. Friday morning, just had a cup of coffee, as you do, and now I've just come outside for a quick ciggy and look at the bikes. That's the caravan we're staying in. Very nice, quiet sight, I must admit. But, the bikes are tucked nicely out of the way. So, all nice and secure. Just have a quick look round here to show you. It's quite a big site, but whether it's just because it's late in the year, it's certainly not overcrowded. So Mickey's now making the bacon sandwiches, and we'll have them and then get ready for today's travels. Stay tuned. Good morning, and here we are now back in Weymouth. This is where we came last night to the bike meet and had those fantastic fish and chips. We had a bit of rain in the night, but forecast to be dry for most of the day, so let's make the most of it. So today we're actually going to go and have a look at where T.E. Lawrence, or more famously known as Lawrence of Arabia, was actually fatally injured in a motorbike crash. There's actually a memorial stone to show where it happened. But before that, we're going to go to his house at what we call Clouds Hill. And even before that, it's right near a tank museum. So we're just going to call in there and have a quick look around the grounds. Not so much the actual museum itself. And let's have a look. En route, we decided to stop off at the tank museum, and people are sort of looking at me weird, thinking this biker man's walking around with his helmet on and talking to himself. But this is a memorial, and this is a Challenger tank. It's a big thing.
That's what proposed as well as in there. They've got one in there, and you can actually go in it. They take you in it, and you can go right down to the bottom where the gunner is, and you'll be surprised because they're living there. They blocked. What were they doing it for? They put somebody in the tank. They put a crew in a tank and locked them in for so many days to see what would happen. With the NBC, I think they were doing an NBC trial on it. And they locked him in there for days, and you literally like this, put a crew in there.
That's 55 tons of Chieftain tank, and just my mate Mickey there, he used to service and maintain them in the army. So I've just learnt some interesting facts. This is a Saracen armoured personnel carrier. So they're used in Northern Ireland, but they didn't have the turret on with the machine gun. But still heavily armoured. Mickey says around about 10-ton mark. Right, we've now just left Cloud Hill.
And this was the actual route where Lawrence rode, and the crash site is down the road this way a little bit. It's somewhere around here. Apparently he came off the road here trying to miss two young children on bicycles, and basically came off and hit a tree. He didn't actually die here, he died about 6 days later in hospital. But this is the bit where Lawrence of Arabia crashed his Brush Superior.
Well, we've been to his house and we've been to the crash site, so it only really seemed fitting that we come to Moulton Cemetery and pay our respects at his graveside. And this is where he lays to rest. One interesting story which was told to us by one of the curators of his house was, if you look right to the back of the headstone, it's not that clear in the picture, you'll see a rose. And every year since his death, a rose has been placed there. Now bearing in mind, this crash happened 90 years ago. Makes you wonder who's been doing it for all this time.
Now this is a Matt Mickey Road. We've got wildlife on it, we've got everything. So this is this type of road, normally off the beaten track. Actually this is good for him, he's actually got a road surface, so this is an improvement on normal. So we've got to somehow negotiate these cows. No, they're not bothered with us. Don't speak too soon. Well, I've negotiated sheep in the Lake District before, but never cows.
While we're riding to Lulworth Cove, I'm just going to mention a few other things about T. Lawrence or Lawrence of Arabia. So if you're not really interested, please feel free to skip forward. But basically, in World War I, he was leading the Arab revolt against the Turks. He sort of, did all his military service, but he didn't really become sort of well known and famous till after the war had finished. He was a real keen motorcyclist. He used to have these Brush Superiors. Now these bikes back then were known as the SS100. They would do 100 miles an hour. Now, okay, a lot of modern bikes will do more than that, but when you look at the size of the tyres of these things, the inadequate sort of brakes to what we've got now, there's that many levers and contraptions on them. There's even levers to sort of pump more oil through, if the engine starts to rattle. So you're sort of maintaining it as you're riding it. Amazing pieces of machinery. His house his cottage I should say, at Clouds Hill, very sparsely furnished. No toilet. He used to go outside and dig a hole to do his ablutions. The curator told us that he had really three things he needed: his books, his music, and a warm bath. And that was it. And it wasn't because he didn't have the money. I mean, these Brough Superiors back then were about £200. Now, you could actually buy a cottage in Wales for that price. His property, Clouds Hill, with 5 acres of land, only cost £450. The actual accident, as you can see on the video where we rode from Clouds Hill to the accident site, is only about sort of 400 or 500 yards. But, you know, as mentioned, he was at the dip of the road. The road isn't as good as it is now, and he didn't see two young boys on cycles. He swerved to miss them and basically collided with the tree. He eventually died on the 19th of May 1935, aged at 46 years old. Winston Churchill actually attended his funeral, describing him as one of the greatest beings alive in this time. After his death, neurosurgeons were doing a lot of research into his death and the injuries he sustained. And basically, it wasn't that long after that then when civilians and army personnel started wearing crash helmets. So every time you're going out on your bike and you put your lid on, just spare a thought for T.E. Lawrence, or Lawrence of Arabia. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it interesting. Please do the ticks if you did. There will be another one out shortly where you'll be able to look and see where else we managed to explore on this beautiful trip of Dorset.